Good morning. Just doing a little Bitcoin update since we are at 100K. Wild. It's just after 9 UTC on Thursday, the 5th of December. Going through how this happened, where are we going, and yeah, going into the weekend. So, first off, we do have some interesting stuff coming in tomorrow from the economic data reports from the US. The big thing last night, it's like, and why I said it this whole week so far is Powell was speaking, and what did Powell say? He dropped the comparison that this Bitcoin be effectively, and I'm paraphrasing, calling it digital gold. So yeah, of course we're gonna go back past 100K when the chairman of the FOMC refers to Bitcoin as a type of digital gold. Like that's wild. So of course we're at 100K. It's awesome. Everyone's super ecstatic, and so am I. It was an inevitability, and we'll be just as ecstatic when it goes to 200K and then a mil in the next probably 8 to 10 years. So, in any case, the expectation right now is not a whole lot today. We could be seeing a little bit of retracement, a little bit sideways. There's no way really to say that we're supposed to be failing back down. What we do want to do is close the daily out very nicely, and we'll go through that level. The big thing, non-farm payrolls, unemployment rate, all that Michigan consumer sentiment on Friday. So watch pre-market for some movement potentially. And obviously we don't want to see this as a grab of liquidity before going back down and collapsing through levels. But we've got that stuff kind of sorted. Long short ratios, I mean, you couldn't have played it out nicer. Shorts were coming in really aggressively with the move yesterday, and then all of a sudden, with with Powell basically, yeah, like I said, it's the wildest thing to me. Referring to Bitcoin as digital gold, blew all of the short liquidity out over the last 12 days, almost 2 weeks. With that as well, one thing to consider now, obviously, because the entire short book got absolutely obliterated again, funding rates are wildly bearish. Open interest weighted at zero point 0.08, which is, I mean, it's free shorts if you're just providing liquidity. So LPs and market makers having a good time trying to get those short liquidity in the books pushed back in. OKX is wild right now as well. BitMEX also want to look at 0.07. It's super, super high. Lots of influence there. But in any case, the liquidity heat map, just showing it here, yeah, absolutely destroyed. All that short liquidity pushed completely out of the water. Even in the local 24-hour stuff, not really much to say. We're in price discovery. We've got some interesting stuff we're getting into now. There's a localized swing failure. And I would say anything that starts breaking the lows that we just tested around, 101.5, any new lows there, and we should be seeing a little bit of a grind back, a claw back, I guess, towards 100K, 98.9. So that being said, looking at the chart, doing a little bit differently today, going to go through some indicator stuff that I look at. Looking at the 4 hour, yeah, massive grab of that liquidity, a combination of high leverage and low leverage stuff that got taken out. Everything that's been built back since the highs from the 22nd of November. So with that being said, we're getting a bit overheated. Retail stablecoin demand is very high. Generally, when retail stablecoin demand, is very low. I've got it inverted. But effectively, what you're seeing is everyone's trying to get fully allocated, and this moves. I inverted it just because it moves very similarly to the rest of the oscillators. But this is definitely one when we get up to these high values that I look at. It just means if everyone's getting allocated to crypto, it just increases the chances that a breakdown of structure and level means that everyone who's been buying spot and buying Bitcoin effectively is going to get punished, at least if they do it late in the game. But for the time being, it looks good. There's some high leverage stuff to grab below us, all the way back at 95K, but I don't really see that. There's too much structure to come back around, 98.9. And yeah, it still looks good in the overall directional movement. We have a capital flow index as well. So large caps have been moving up very, very high and aggressively, effectively making higher lows. The big gains yesterday were, the higher low in the afternoon on Wednesday. This was a really big test gain. And then obviously this little thing here. And the reason that's so important was if we look at the level, perfect gain of the weekly open. This is what I was talking about. Bullish back test. This wick creates a bullish demand zone. So we have overlapping demand. We've got really strong support all the way down to 95K. And until 95K breaks, it's every retest is a potential to go higher. So it looks good, looks aggressive. And the other thing as well, funding rates are at like 0.0, gosh, 0.075, 0.08. So really big funding rates as well. But overall, it looks really aggressive and really good. If I just zoom in on the local price action, and we'll go through a couple levels. So we do have some interesting stuff up here at like 103. This little swing high 103.1. We'll see if we get some pushback here. I think it looks good if we gain this, we're going to see some like continuation moves. And the reason I would say that is just look at the last time we were in these kind of conditions. We have a big pop up, we have the initial failure back down, and then we full send again. Even if we're in this structure where we have a pop back up, grab of that liquidity, I think that's still very, very possible, and then have a continuation. If we're going to see some initial failures, what we want to see there is some real simple, price action basics, which is you want to see a big low and then a failure to make a new high, right? So even if you crawl back up and make a new high, you want to see a big low and then a failure to make a new high, and then we're going to run into this kind of like flat move that kind of goes like this. So it's still possible, still likely. And the less likely one right now, but just because everything's so overbought, everything's so overheated, is effectively there's a little swing structure down here at, call it 101.5. If you start losing this, you're going to have a bit of a free fall zone between here and 100K, 99K. So definitely an area where you want to see some potential pullback towards these levels. With that being said, the higher time frame looks aggressive, looks good, really strong rip of liquidity. Gosh, what a perfect example of the Powell effect, in all honesty. So the daily is really simple. We don't want to close a daily back below this. As long as we're staying above here, ideally we stay above 99.6, the previous all-time high, but closing below 98.9 starts to break some things, and it just means that, okay, we've done a big liquidity grab, and we probably have to go back deeper into structure to punish longs. But see it as less likely currently, even though the open interest was wildly taken out. Funding rates are incredibly bearish. For us to start pulling back, which we're doing some, we want to see some lower time frame clawbacks and loss of levels. So if you look at anything really simply, there's a level right here at 103.1. If you get that little gain, you're probably going to start grinding up, and maybe you'll start doing the first deviations and stuff. And that's still likely. If you start losing the lows at 101, call it 0.5, that's the first kind of low loss that kind of gets you to that grindy, nasty, testing back towards the support, which we have, right? We have good support at the daily open. We've got good support at 98.9, and probably good buying support at 100K. And that's the big test if we do climb back or crawl back, which is there demand at 100K? Is there enough people, not just on perpetuals, but on spot, willing to buy Bitcoin at 100K? If we can establish demand there, we're going to continue in this upside drive. It looks good. We've talked about this in the past, how the bull run goes. Sometimes the upside is the punishment because people get left in the dust, they miss the move, and they decide to short stuff. We're running with it and can't be happier. So that being said, take it easy and catch you tomorrow. Peace.